but the state should fix this. If the state...
That's crazy, man. Like, what's the equivalent here? You know what I mean? Sometimes I really do believe that, you know, Republicans just do bad things on purpose. What CBS may be reaching a legal settlement with Trump because he didn't like how a campaign interview with Kamala was edited. Really? If CBS caves, the belief that we have an independent media protected by the First Amendment is undermined. CBS stand tall, support the Constitution. Yeah, I don't know if, you know, I don't know if there is such a thing as the Constitution any longer. All right, let's get started on Mr. Trump. Okay, Donald Trump. Donald Trump. He is attending Hurricane Helene recovery briefings in Fletcher, North Carolina.
Pretty much okay. It's a lot of people. 104 people lost their lives. 73,000 homes were severely damaged or destroyed. And I'll tell you, I've been to a lot of them, and this was like lots of hurricanes in one. I've never seen such damage done by water. And the water came.
It was the wettest from the standpoint of water.
It was violent, and it left, and there was like nothing left. It's really pretty amazing. At one point, half of the emergency calls to FEMA went unanswered. That's real bad. FEMA was not doing their job. The city of Asheville went without running water for 2 months. A whistleblower testified that some FEMA employees refused to help people who displayed Trump signs on their properties. I think that's true.
You want to know what's really funny about this? Like, this did happen, but like, there is something kind of wild that although there were some insane FEMA people that were like, yeah, these Trump supporters or whatever. No. I think that there was like one guy. I mean, it happens, dude. What do you mean? Like, FEMA is just like every other agency comprised of normal human beings. Sometimes there's going to be a person who's soul, okay? And they were fired, right? But the point I'm trying to make is that not only was it a thing that happened, it was funny because every single person that was a Trump supporter leading up to that moment was literally like, we should kill the FEMA workers. Like before there was like some random, you know, Biden head, dark woke as they're calling it, guy who literally decided like, yeah, I'm with FEMA and I don't want to help Trump supporters. They already were like, if FEMA comes down the neighborhood, let's that is a lie, but keep going. Y'all mauling every day about this. First of all, your life has to be incredibly sad, even though your God, King, Lord, and Savior, Mr. Donald Trump, actually became president, and you still suck. Like, your life still sucks so much balls every single day, where you're like, okay, nothing changed. Egg prices have not gone down. Okay. As a matter of fact, they've gone up. Why am I so upset right now? Let me go tune in to a content creator who I despise. Okay. Let me go tune into a content creator who I despise so I can actually at least feel a little bit better about myself. And if he calls me out, I'm going to feel embarrassed about that. So I'm going to turn around and say, I didn't vote for Trump, actually. So you're just what? You're just LARPing as a Trump fan? Is that what it is? You're just LARPing as a Trump fan, like as a Trump fan whose life is actually in tatters, and that's why he had to come in here and be like, keep coping, libtard. I think there is a low to the low. You said who everyone who likes wanted to kill them. Okay, bro, I can't have a conversation with no. We're done. Autism is now no longer allowed. I'm ableist. I'm the only one who's allowed to be autistic, okay? You are not allowed to be autistic in the chat. If you have no capacity to understand context or jokes or embellishment, okay? Exaggerations. Like, no, I don't think every single Republican wanted to kill FEMA people, okay? When I explain things like that, I'm not being 100% accurate because I'm joking, okay? I'm sorry, you are too autistic to chat in the chat if you don't understand something as simple as that, okay? You're banned. Autism is now banned in the chat. That's it. Only I get to be autistic, not you. I don't think it's true that every Republican wanted to kill FEMA people. Yeah, no, dumbass. Anyway, where the was I? I totally forgot what we were talking about. Oh, yeah. What's funny about the situation is so many right-wing Republicans got duped by conspiracy theories online, okay, in order to be as hyper-specific as possible. There were a lot of conspiracy theories in the aftermath of this disaster in North Carolina. Those conspiracy theories were completely ridiculous. They were made up, right? Obviously. Conspiracy theories such as like FEMA's going to come and actually buy your house out, okay? Like don't take any disaster relief funds from FEMA because they want to buy your house, or that, you know, there was obviously like, you know, FEMA weather machine is the reason why these natural disasters took place. And also that they were not allowing the real patriotic citizens from like, I don't know, Patriot Prayer or whatever to distribute goods to the disaster sites. FEMA was not allowing them to do that because they just had some like, you know, really crazy, secretive and possibly anti-conservative perspectives. And that's why they were doing that. So like there was a lot of antagonism against FEMA on the ground from a lot of Republicans. And then there literally was a FEMA guy who was like, yeah, these Republicans. Yeah, like, I'm sorry. On the one hand, you got people on the ground who are like, FEMA wants to kill us. Don't come near my house. You're going to bomb my house. I'll kill you. And then there's a FEMA guy who literally is like, we should just not help Republicans. It's completely unacceptable. Okay. Just make no mistake. It is completely and utterly unacceptable. Okay. Your job is disaster relief. There is no politics in that circumstance. So like this libbed up dark Brandon head going, I'm just not going to help people if they're Trump supporters is insane. But it's a funny situation because Trump supporters hate FEMA and right-wingers hate FEMA.
And I read that. It's not nice. That's not too nice, is it? But whoever those property people were, thank you very much. Michael, is that true? That's not good, huh? About the
That's not good, huh?
property owners, you put a Trump sign on and they wouldn't help. FEMA. Earlier this year, FEMA kicked 2,000 North Carolinians out of their temporary housing into below freezing temperatures. What was that all about? Is that...
The water came and it did what it does, which is terrible. I love water. I drink water almost every day, in fact. Too much, my doctors say. But I know what's best and water is good. But this water was very bad. Probably the worst water in the history of the world. That's really good. That's fire. A lot of people are saying this water came because North Carolina wanted to turn blue and God wanted to punish North Carolina. Trump impressions are so back. I know. I shouldn't do that. I shouldn't, because my Trump impression is never that good. But it's hard. It's hard for me not to do it because he just has such an awesome, he's so swagged out, dude. Barack Obama is dating Jennifer Aniston. Check Instagram, New York Post. Dude, I've heard these conspiracies before. It's fantastic. Yes. For those of you who don't know, Barack Obama, when he's not getting his sucked sideways by Larry the Hoover in Gary, Indiana, specifically after doing amphetamine that he secured for Larold. Yeah, he's piping up. He's piping down. He's busting down Tatiana style, having kinetic sexual activities with Jennifer Aniston. It's Jennifer Aniston from Horrible Bosses. I get it.
You know about that? What happened? Tell me.
We had an incompetent administration under Biden, and we had a disaster, and we call it the disaster after the disaster. That was the FEMA response.
You had nothing but disaster since then. It doesn't matter at this point. Biden did a bad job. Some residents still don't have hot water, drinking water, or anything else, and many of them don't have quarters. They don't have anything. They got a stipend for what they lost, and we're going to take care of it. This is totally unacceptable, and I'll be taking strong action to get North Carolina the support that you need to quickly recover and rebuild. We're working on it very hard, and I think if Michael Whatley does half as good a job for North Carolina as he did for my campaign, we'll be very happy. Him and Laura were a very powerful team. So you think you can handle it, Michael? I don't know. I'm not sure, Michael. I think this is maybe in many ways easier, okay? Maybe easier. But you're going to lead the team. Do you want to say who the congressmen are that you want to appoint? Do you want to introduce them?
We have Virginia Fox and Chuck Edwards and Tim Moore, whose districts encompass the area.
And they are the districts that were most severely impacted, right? You were affected then, Virginia?
Yes, lost my own driveway.
Really? No. I'll also be signing an executive order to begin the process of fundamentally reforming and overhauling FEMA, or maybe getting rid of FEMA. I think, frankly, FEMA is not good. I think when you have
That's
a
crazy.
problem like this, I think you want to go and...
He wants to privatize disaster relief. That's amazing, dude. Dude, America is in the cool zone, baby. Excellent. Excellent. I'm always thinking, how can we make this worse? And that look at a time of unparalleled crisis, at a time of unparalleled crisis born out of anthropogenic climate change, perhaps the best thing you can do is, like, I don't know, relegate FEMA to Mr. Beast. Okay? I don't even know how much worse you could get. Like, this is awesome, you know? That's right. We're giving it to Beastables. Going forward, if you want disaster recovery, you need Mr. Beast to come to your town and shoot the YouTube videos. He loves it. Barron tells me all the time. Barron knows so much about social media. You know, Barron is the reason why I went on TikTok. Barron loves Mr. Beast. He's doing FEMA. That's right. If you want disaster relief, you need to jump through some hoops. It's okay. It's good. It's good content. It's television. Mr. Beast is saving television. He's made $500 million per episode for Amazon. You know I hate Jeff Bezos. I don't like Amazon, but I love Jimmy Donaldson. He's going to be the government now. Folks, only the survivors get to deserve the FEMA credits. Yeah. Jimmy Beast. I used to try to rate at elementary school. Every day we stray further and further away from God, okay? Notice how only the bad parts of the government, the violent enforcement mechanism, stays in the hands of the government, and it only is the only adequately funded aspect of the government, and yet none of the things that the government is supposed to do in terms of taking care of the average citizens, like, for example, FEMA, all of that stuff is constantly in a state of underfunding and also routinely threatened by private interests, by privatization initiatives like the ones that Donald Trump is pushing for right here. Just something to consider. I don't know why the only stuff that the government is supposed to do are just, like, you know, violent enforcements of white nativist sentiment and never, like, disaster relief, right? Cool.
Whether it's a Democrat or Republican governor, you want to use your state to fix it and not waste time calling FEMA, and then FEMA gets here and they don't know the area, they've never been to the area, and they want to give you rules that you've never heard about. They want to bring people that aren't as good as the people you already have. And FEMA's turned out to be a disaster. And you could go back a long way. You could go back to Louisiana. You could go back to some of the things that took place in Texas. It turns out to be the state that ends up doing the work. It just complicates it. I think we're going to recommend that FEMA go away. And we pay directly. We pay a percentage to the state. But the state should fix this. If the state did this.
That's crazy, man. Bro like, what's the equivalent here? You know what I mean? It's like saying, you know what's the issue with war? The vest, the Kevlar vest. We just gotta take these Kevlar vests off, you know? You need cotton. Cotton does the job. You don't need anything to stop bullets, okay? Does Kevlar even stop the bullets anyway? Don't use it. No more ceramic plates. Just cotton. Just use cotton. What is happening right now? He's at a disaster relief site, man. You are doing a press briefing after a hurricane that hit an area that it was not supposed to at all, okay? What the hell is going on? Sometimes I really do believe that, you know, Republicans just do bad things on purpose. Sometimes I do unironically feel like Trump will just advocate for a thing because he knows it's bad. Like, He's just like, I know this is going to not be a good thing for people. I know this is going to be harmful for big swaths of the population, and that's why I'm advocating for it. I don't even get any material benefit out of it. You know what I mean? Like the FEMA privatization one is like obviously old school. You know, Republicans love stuff like that. They've always vilified FEMA. Alex Jones used to talk about how, like, you know, FEMA black sites. Barack Obama smells like sulfur. He put me in a FEMA black site facility and had with me, you know. AlexJones.com, Infowars.com. He used to always say stuff like that. He's Mr. FEMA camp, right? Conservatives have basically always assumed that FEMA has like too much power, like libertarian conspiracy theorists, and have always talked about how like there's FEMA facilities being set up. There's a FEMA black site that was set up camp right down the street from me. There's black helicopters, attack helicopters in the neighborhood. I'm AlexJones.com, Infowars.com, coming to you right now from a FEMA camp. I've infiltrated a FEMA death camp. Barack Obama's here. He smells like sulfur.
In the beginning, it would have been a lot better situation. I think you guys agree with that, right? So I just want to say that Asheville, I know it well. It's a great place, so we're going to have it be a great place again. That was the one that was most severely affected. But North Carolina is going to come back bigger, better, stronger than ever before. And you're going to be very thankful. And you've already seen, I know that it really began 4 days ago, but you've already seen more action than you have in the last 3 months. And we're going to get it together. We're informing the Army Corps of Engineers to get going because you have a lot of river breaks and a lot of areas that you're going to need some pretty big work. And they're on their way. They're going to be working much harder than they've been working in the past, and we're going to take care of it. Any questions from the press of any of the...
No, there's going to be questions, all right. Once again, when stuff like this happens, I just look out. I just turn around and I look back and I remember that I'm in Tokyo, and it makes me feel good for a brief moment, you know? While everything seems awful, while the world seems horrifying, and, you know, Donald Trump is talking about cutting FEMA at the site of a, you know, massively consequential hurricane relief effort. At least I'm in Tokyo, you know?
Congressman, governor, anybody?
Sir, are you going to sign an executive order on FEMA, getting rid of it? Can you say more about signing an executive order to get rid of FEMA, please?
FEMA has been a very big disappointment. They cost a tremendous amount of money. It's very bureaucratic, and it's very slow. Other than that, we're very happy with them. Okay, and I think when there's a problem with the state, I think that problem should be taken care of by the state. That's what we have states for. They take care of problems. And a governor can handle something very quickly. You know, one of the things I've noticed, because I've been doing this for a while, and we had a pretty good FEMA, but I also noticed that when they come, they end up in arguments. They're fighting all the time over who does what. It's just not a good system. This system is so beautifully designed over 250 years approximately, you know, and we'll soon be celebrating the 250th year. It's going to be a very big celebration. But it's been designed very well, and we're going to leave it that way. When North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida, Tennessee, when everybody knows the governor of Tennessee, I think, everybody? Do you know everybody here, pretty much? He's I never thought of it, but you're right over the ridge.
Right over the
So you're here to help. That's great.
The people in this region, including Tennessee, the people of Appalachia, are grateful that you are here and that you haven't forgotten it. And that there are other disasters, but this one was enormous for both North Carolina and Tennessee. So thank you.
You know, I've seen a lot of disasters. When I came here right after.
He's seen all the disasters.
And when I came here, I couldn't believe it, actually. I couldn't believe the damage. And I've seen a lot of them. This was more like a tornado than it was what we witnessed. So we're going to get it very much taken care of. Good job. That's nice that you came. And so you call it you're right over the ridge, right, Tennessee?
Right over the ridge, yes.
I like Tennessee, too. Let's see, where did I get more votes, Tennessee or North Carolina? I hate to tell you, North Carolina, it was Tennessee.
There's one of the counties in this disaster that had 88% for you. So
88%, yeah, no, it's the people are just incredible people.
yeah.
So, do you have any questions, press?
President, you talked about conditions being placed on aid to California, voter ID and the like. Are there any conditions that you're going to put on aid to North Carolina?
We're going to do a lot for North Carolina. You know, they've been very slow. I don't know why it's been so bad. This has been one of the worst I've seen. Katrina, of course, you know, was something that obviously that was a long time ago. That was not good. But this has been very slow. I don't know if that was for political reasons because they lost the state. You know, Biden lost the state. Maybe he felt he doesn't care. Maybe there were other reasons. I don't know. But this has been very slow. By any standard, this has been very slow. And we're gonna make up for lost time.
No conditions. You're going to push for aid.
Well, in California, I have a condition. In California, we want them to have voter ID so the people have a voice, because right now the people don't have a voice because you don't know who's voting, and it's very corrupt. And we also want them to release the water. If they released the water, they wouldn't have had a problem. If they released the water when I told them to, because I told them to do it 7 years ago, if they would have done it, you wouldn't have had the problem that you had. You might not have even had a fire. So, but here I don't have that. It's a different thing. You got hit by a storm. The people are incredible. They worked really well. Franklin was fantastic, and other groups. By the way, other groups came in that were also fantastic. And other states came in, Tennessee and a couple of others came in, and they really helped. That's the way it's supposed to be. No, this is a different kind of a thing.
Mr. President, have you decided how much funding you would allocate for disaster relief in North Carolina?
About what?
Have you decided how much funding you would allocate?
There's no way he can just whip around disaster relief funds, right? Dude, I think at the end of the day, usually they won't. Usually they will give like all the funds necessary. But I'm going to keep it very real with you. He can do whatever he wants. No, like, what are you going to do about it is kind of the attitude here. Like, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do? Complain? Yeah. Donald Trump is like, who's going to stop him? Are you going to stop him? He's kind of the king. Yeah. Like, Congress does his bidding. Even Democrats are capitulating now. They're falling in line. Like, I can't really foresee anything changing all that dramatically. My suspicion is that he plays this role of like politicizing disaster relief, but it's actually positive for the Republicans because their goal is to ultimately play politics with disaster relief to get like certain bills done, certain bills passed that they normally wouldn't be able to. That's what I think. Why didn't Biden give enough disaster relief? That's not true. There wasn't like, I don't think, as far as I understand, I don't think there was any sort of limitation on disaster relief from Biden. That would be really funny though. No, I don't think the Democrats, look, I'm very critical of the Democrats, but I don't think they even remotely play that. Like they don't play that game at all. I would say that Republicans also end up giving the necessary funds. At least they have in the past, even under the Trump administration where they've like talked about potentially tying like wildfire relief funds to something else. They end up doing it regardless. If I remember correctly, I think they did a clean bill last time after complaining and claiming that they were not going to. They still ended up doing it because, like, you know, these are still American citizens, man, at the end of the day. But I think this time around, maybe they'll use it to pass some, like, I don't know, some kind of like budget reconciliation.
I have to see what it is.
Are you disappointed that Senator Schiff hasn't joined you on this trip? It was reported you invited Senator Schiff to join you on this trip and he was too busy. Are you disappointed?
I don't know. I was told that Schiff was going to travel with us to California. I wasn't thrilled, to be honest with you. And I saw him last night on television. It looks like he got hit with a baseball bat or something. What happened to him? Something happened to him. It looked like he got hit. It looked like he got beat around. But I'll ask Caroline to find out what happened to him. No, if he wanted to come out, I would have done that. But I don't know. Somebody said that he wanted to come on the plane, but I think he's staying back for the votes. There's some pretty
The
good.
one thing I'll say about Republicans is they talk a big talk about making the federal government teeny tiny and handing power back to the states, but they made almost no actually lasting progress to that end for a while. I think you have to remember that like some semblance of federal control is good, especially because that's where all the big contracts are, and that's where the big money is. So ultimately, I think that they still want to have some semblance of centralization so that they can end up offering massive contracts to their corporate benefactors. I think like the argument about like giving power back to the states is for social issues, and it's only to like enforce the culture war agenda that like some Republicans care about. Oh, the background looks so cool. Tokyo sky's waking up now. Yeah, no, this is my favorite thing to do. Like, you know, I think this is one of the coolest aspects of streaming in Japan is that I get to have the entire Tokyo city line behind me, and then you get to see it wake up in real time. You know what I mean? From 5 a.m. onward. It's kind of crazy. I woke up at 4. I could have just started at 11 a.m., which is wild. I'm gonna be real. Anything looks better than the same spot 7 days a week. I went to bed at like a relatively reasonable hour. I fell asleep on the cab home, and I immediately passed out, and I woke up at 4 a.m. like that, without an alarm clock or anything. It was really smart of you to move to Japan. Glad you got out. That's so funny. Yeah, I just live in a hotel now, like Kanye West.
Going on, yeah.
Mr. President, what is your timeline for getting rid of FEMA?
For this one.
You just talked about possibly getting rid of FEMA. What timeline are you looking at, and how would you do that?
Well, we're looking here. Here, you're talking about. To start, we're going to start immediately, timeline. And to finish, it's going to be a period of time. You know, people are also rebuilding their houses. How long does it take to build a house, right? It takes some time. And I want them to build houses bigger, better, nicer than they had before, so they can have, at least they get something out of this disaster. This was a real disaster. No, timeline will be fast. In terms of infrastructure, I think very fast. I want to thank Elon, because Elon was able to get us communication systems, as you know. Starlink.
Glaze.
We had no communication.
Glaze. Dude, I'm gonna be honest with you, dude. You ask me all the time, Hasan, what do you think is the next step here? Okay, Hasan, what do you think the Democratic Party could do in this circumstance? Okay, if I am a competent Democratic Party and not the current Democratic Party, I'm saying like all of a sudden, let's say magically that the Democratic Party decided to be competent. Every single day of the week, I would keep running the line over and over again that the Democrats are officially the anti-billionaire party going forward. Not fake, though. Like, actually sincerely become the anti-billionaire party, the anti-corporate oligarchy party. And every day of the week, you would just go, hey, isn't it weird how average Americans' interests are only served not when it actually pertains to their material realities, like the egg prices or rent or housing or any number of different things that they would actually want solved, but only when it comes to hating other Americans. Meanwhile, Donald Trump only seems to hear feedback and surround himself with the likes of literally liberal billionaires, like libtarded billionaires. You know what I mean? Like Sam Altman, the Oracle guy who looks like his skin is melting off his face. I keep forgetting his name. I don't know why it doesn't register in my mind. Larry Ellison, I think, right? Peter Thiel, Elon Musk. Isn't it strange how much control and power corporate oligarchs have over this country? Now, of course, you can turn around and say, well, you guys have your own version of that too. Like, I think that that's a valid statement. And the Democrats can say, we're not doing that anymore. Softabanku? Oh, yeah. Masayoshi-san. I mean, he's great because I'm a weeb. So SoftBank's billionaire CEO says he was put on Earth to create artificial superintelligence that is 10,000 times smarter than a human. I am super serious about it. Yeah, I'm a weeb, so I believe him.
The first day I got here, I was asked by one of the people, one of the really great representatives.
Well, where would the money come from, smart guy? I don't know if you know this, but like money can't vote. Still people that are supposed to vote, and at least the current Democratic administration. He's actually Korean. Wait, really? Isn't Masayoshi a Japanese name? Wait, am I being racist? Oh, he is Korean. I wasn't wrong. He's no, I was right, chat. No, I was right. He is Korean, but he's also he's Japanese. He's a Zainichi Korean. God damn. Don't ever test my freaking weeb knowledge, dog. Don't do it, okay? He's Korean Japanese. As a Korean, I've never heard that Korean name. No, Masayoshi is not a Korean name. It's a Japanese name. But Sun is not I don't think Sun is a Japanese last name. So, yeah, say Sung Jung Yi is definitely Korean. Busted out the Japanese calipers, dude. I'm just doing a little bit of skull science here. No, I just know which names are which. My bad, dude.
Is there any way you could get Starlink here, because they had no communication whatsoever? And I called up Elon Musk, and he had, hundreds of units brought immediately. And it's hard to get. They couldn't get them before. And that made a lot of difference. I think it saved a lot of lives, actually. Yeah. Infrastructure-wise, we'll do it quickly.
Sir, can you just talk about how long you think it might take to get rid of FEMA? What's the timeline on that? If you're going to roll it back?
Yeah, I would say, look, as far as I'm concerned, I'm not really thinking about FEMA right now here. I'm thinking about Michael Watley, and I'm thinking about the 3 Congress people that you just heard from, and also the other people in Congress, and they'll be working with the governor. So that's what I see.
Change the subject real quickly. The Laken-Riley Act was signed by Speaker Johnson yesterday.
Right.
When do you anticipate to sign that into
Well,
office?
we're honored by that. Laken-Riley, I was there at the time, and we had a big meeting with the parents right after that horrible thing took place. And we have an act. You all know what that act represents. And it was a bipartisan bill. Many Democrats signed onto it. That's something that is a tribute to Laken, a beautiful young lady who was killed viciously by an illegal alien. And we passed a very powerful bill, and it was just approved, and we'll have a ceremony sometime very shortly. I'll be signing it. In other words, if you're asking, I will definitely be signing it. Okay? Yeah.
Mr. President, the security detail for Anthony Fauci was terminated last night, and I'm wondering if you have any comment on that.
About what?
The security detail for Anthony Fauci was terminated last night, sir. Do you have a comment?
No, I think,
This is so funny. Like, this type of stuff is so insane to me. I just don't, I don't, it's just, who is this for? Just red meat for the base. That's all this is. You know what I mean? Red meat for the base, baby.
When you work for government, at some point your security detail comes off. And, you can't have them forever. So I think it's very standard. If it would be for somebody else, you wouldn't be asking the question. The question is very fair. But, you work for government. We took some off other people, too. But you can't have a security detail for the rest of your life because you work for government. Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Would you feel partially responsible if something were to happen to, say, Dr. Fauci or John Bolton?
No. They all made a lot of money. They can hire their own security, too. All the people you're talking about, they can go out. I can give them some good numbers of very good security people. They can hire their own security. They all made a lot of money. Fauci made a lot of money. They all did. So if they, felt that strongly, I think that certainly I would not take responsibility.
Now, North Carolina is a state that relies on trade and manufacturing. Are you going to have an announcement on new tariffs coming soon? Is there a timeline now?
Yeah, the tariffs are going to make our country rich. We're going to be a rich, rich country very soon. Tariffs are going to make it rich, and competence. We have common sense, competence, and tariffs. The word tariff is one of the most beautiful words in the dictionary.
Now, Jonathan Reynolds, the business secretary of the United Kingdom, said that there's an even trade between the U.S. and the UK, so they shouldn't have tariffs. Does trade imbalances or a balanced trade affect tariffs and your decisions?
Yeah, unbalanced and balance, and also deficits. Like with Canada, we lose $200 billion a year with Canada. That's because we allow them.
I love the beautiful word tariffs. Is the most beautiful word. It's so stupid. God damn, dude. I cannot. We got what, 6 days until 25% locked in for Canada and Mexico. And the reasoning is because of what? Drug deals? The reasoning is because Canada and Mexico is pouring into this country. That's what he's saying. It's crazy, you know? Have you had room service yet? I haven't eaten anything from room service, but I just ordered room service.
To make cars, we allow them to take lumber. We don't need their cars. We don't need their lumber. We don't need their food products because we make this.
We don't need their lumber is so crazy. It's like the overwhelming majority of lumber that we use come from Canada. We definitely do need their lumber. I don't know why he's saying that we don't need their lumber. We especially need it right now because California needs to be rebuilt. So, you know, the two things we need is hands for construction and lumber. Okay? The materials for construction and the people to do the construction. And Donald Trump is literally trying to cook both of those things. I mean, it's going to be wild.
Same products right on the other side of the border. It's sort of crazy. So we've just allowed that, you know, bad management has allowed it over the last 4 years in particular to become very imbalanced. And I call him Governor Trudeau, but he's Prime Minister Trudeau when he was Prime Minister. I asked him, why would we do that? Why? And he was unable to give me an answer. He said, I don't know. And I said, do you think it's fair that we're paying $200 billion to keep...
A chatter asks, can you say some things that you agree with the Donald? Yes. I agree with the fact that he recognized that TikTok was a powerful enough and popular enough tool for him to give it a stay of execution. I gave him credit for that. I also agree with the ceasefire. Like he was incredibly impactful in the ceasefire negotiation finally going through. That's true. That's 100% true. Okay? You can say the Joe Biden team went back and forth on the ceasefire conditions and negotiation or whatever, but ultimately it was literally Hamas is the ceasefire negotiation that Hamas had lined up since December, according to the Qatari Emir. Okay? Since December of last year. Not this last December. Sorry. 2023. December 2023. So for a year and change, the Biden administration did not push Israel to actually follow through on the ceasefire. Conditions set forth on the ceasefire by pressuring Israel. He just didn't do that. But Trump, for one reason or another, did. He applied that pressure through Steve Witkoff. Ceasefire, they kidnapped 60 Palestinians directly after, and they're still killing civilians. They're also unserious. Yeah, but you have to look at it from the perspective of like the Palestinian population not being bombed every single day in Gaza, because that was their experience. Also got to give him credit for deporting criminals. No, that one is actually kind of ridiculous, as I've talked about already. I'm a little bit confused on the details of like what the background is for the people that are being arrested for show for the most part by ICE right now, especially considering that like if you are a criminal undocumented, like you should go to jail. Do you think he'll lose in 2026? What is happening? Like the midterms? You think that Donald Trump there's gonna be a special election for the presidency during the midterms? Like what's happening?
Canada going, and what would happen? I asked him, what would happen if we didn't do that, if we didn't subsidize Canada? He said, we'd be a failed nation. And I said, then you should be a state, because why are we paying all of that money to Canada when, you know, we could use it ourselves, right? So we take care of their military. You know, we're going to order about 40 Coast Guard big icebreakers, big ones. And all of a sudden, Canada wants a piece of the deal. I say, why are we doing that? I mean, I like doing that if they're a state, but I don't like doing that if they're a nation. Also, they've been very nasty to us on trade.
I don't like doing that if they're
been very, very bad.
I don't like doing that if they're a nation.
we'll see how it all works out.
So, the United Kingdom
I
might
would
be in a
love
better
to see
spot.
Canada be the 51st state. The Canadian citizens, if that happened, would get a very big tax cut, tremendous tax cut, because they're very highly taxed. And you wouldn't have to worry about military. You wouldn't have to worry about many of the things. You'd have better health coverage. You'd have much better health coverage. So I think the people of Canada would like it, you know, if it's explained. But just to start off, they'd have a massive tax cut, and they'd have a lot more business, because then we'd let business go to Canada routinely, and there'd be no tariffs. You know, if we did that, there'd be no tariffs.
So the United Kingdom might be in a better spot then.
Reverend Franklin Graham has been a great asset to the state. Talk a little bit about the way Samaritan Purse has helped North Carolina.
Yes, once again, the first...
Reverend Franklin Graham has been a big part of Samaritan Purse and their aid to North Carolina. I just want to get your thoughts on that.
Well, Franklin Graham has been a big asset to the state. His father was a big asset to the state, to the country, both of them. I just think this. I think Franklin and other people that are doing what Franklin have done, but I've known Franklin so long. He was at the inauguration. He made a speech, beautiful prayer. He does a great job. And we made a big donation, and it was money well spent. Sometimes you make donations, it's not well spent. He's done a great job here. He's done a really great job. So I want to thank you. We're going to the site now, and one of the sites, and I think for those that haven't seen it, you won't even believe it. But not enough work was done. We'll get it done fast. And I can speak for the Republican congressman. We're going to knock it out, right? We're going to knock it out. And I think we take it very personally, because North Carolina was very unfairly treated. Very, very unfairly treated. And it was obvious. It was too obvious. And we're going to make up for lost time. So thank you to the people of North Carolina. Thank you, everybody.
He's gonna chuck some towels at them. Trump goes after Newsom, says deportations are going very well. I've been telling the deficit is 70 billion, which is offset by the low price of the crude oil that Canada sells to the U.S. Hence why U.S. refiners are asking for an exemption on Canadian oil on the tariffs. Yeah, foreign aid has been halted. Politico was reporting that U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio is freezing all foreign aid except to Israel and Egypt. Shocking. It's actually shocking because Ukraine is not a part of it. That's crazy. I love when people say, why Egypt? Not realizing that, like, Egypt is also another mechanism of pressure for America, like another actor. But I think that the congressional congressional allocation of all matter of lethal aid, military aid, and whatnot is still going to Ukraine.
Everybody, thank you very much. Thank you. North Carolina, it's been a horrible thing, the way that's been allowed to fester, and we're going to get it fixed up. Should have been done months ago from the hurricane that took place almost 4 months ago. North Carolina's been treated very badly, so we're stopping there, and we're going to then go to Los Angeles and take a look at a fire that could have been put out if they let the water flow, but they didn't let the water flow, and they still haven't for whatever reason. So I think we're going to have a very interesting time. I think many of you are going with us. If you'd like to have a ride on the plane, we'd love to give it to you. I don't know. Is he going? Is he going? I don't know. I mean, I really don't. You know, because if he's going to be there, it would be cheaper, but I didn't invite him. Somebody did. Look, whatever it is, it is. He's a good man. I don't know what's going to happen. You never know in those things, but Pete's a very, very good man. I hope he makes it. I hope he makes it. I was very surprised that Collins and Murkowski would do that. And, of course, Mitch is always a no vote, I guess. Is Mitch a no vote? How about Mitch? Huh? You what? Let's see what happens.
Mr. President, the March for Life. The March for Life.
I did a big trip for the March for Life, and we look forward to seeing it. I'm going to be watching it, and J.D. Vance, our Vice President, is there, and he's going to be representing us very well. Taking place in a little while, and other than being a little bit cold, it's a beautiful day.
How will your administration protect pro-life?
I see now what you were saying about Republicans campaigning all the time because Trump is constantly doing politics, even in situations like these that are theoretically supposed to be apolitical. So, yes, but also what I mean by that when they campaign all the time is not just this, right? Because what Trump is doing here in terms of like using normal government functions as a way to, campaign is a little bit of a political faux pas. What I mean when I say Republicans campaign year round is something a little bit different than that. I'm talking about like the key issues that they care about. Republicans will never stop the faucet of propaganda lying about certain things, certain issues, basically, that they consider very important for their base to fully be on board with. Immigration, right? They have to, with regular frequency, lie about undocumented migrants presenting a threat. They have to do it over and over and over again, and that plays a role in their agenda. Now, part of that is because they know that, like, if they can get their base to believe that undocumented migrants are responsible for a massive amount of crimes, then they have a marginalized population that they can point the finger at, blame at. They can want to come over for breakfast. What, to your place? No, I'm streaming. I'm doing news for like the first 3-4 hours, Austin. There's no better time to say this than today. So the owner of TDA Gang's apartment just had another apartment seized by the city of Denver, the first in history. Denver shuts down apartment building a severe health hazard. Wait, CBZ management again? Wait, another Trendaragua managed apartment? I'm so confused. I'm confused. Does this mean that Trendaragua also took over this apartment complex as well? Denver and Aurora are different cities? No, I know that. I'm being sarcastic, Chad. It's the same management company, surprisingly enough. I wonder why.
We're all for it. In fact, as you know, I just signed a pardon, and in the pardon we released 23 people that were unjustly put in, having to do with pro-life, and they will be released, and they'll be out very shortly. It was disgraceful what happened. That was a persecution.
Will you give Italy a break on tax on tariffs?
Well, I like her very much. Let's see what happens. Have a good time. Everybody thought I was going to California. I said, no, I'm stopping in North Carolina first because they've been abused by what's happened. I mean, it's terrible. It should have been done. It should have been, a lot of things should have happened that didn't happen. So we're here. We're going to fix it out. We're working with the gentleman behind me, and you know who they are, and we're going to fix it. And we're going to fix it as fast as you can. It's a massive amount of damage. FEMA has really let us down, let the country down, and I don't know if that's Biden's fault or whose fault it is, but we're going to take over and we're going to do a good job. We're going to assign Mr. Whatley, who's fantastic, frankly, and the governor and everybody else that's going to work. We're going to supply the money, supply a lot of the money. Maybe you have to chip in something. You'll chip in a little something, like maybe 25% or whatever. But we're going to get it done as quickly as we can. And we want to take care of the people of North Carolina. It's so interesting. Everybody's talking about California, and that's a mess. But I said, I'm not going to California until I stop in North Carolina. So here we are. We're going to go visit the site, and we're going to work with probably 3 of the congressmen, Republican congressmen, who've been fantastic, whose areas have been affected, and with Michael Whatley, the governor, and whoever else is, we decide to get involved. Probably less FEMA, because FEMA just hasn't done the job. And we're looking at the whole concept of FEMA. I like, frankly, the concept when North Carolina gets hit, the governor takes care of it. When Florida gets hit, the governor takes care of it, meaning the state takes care of it. To have a group of people come in from an area that don't even know where they're going in order to solve immediately a problem is something that never worked for me. But this is probably one of the best examples.
This is truly an insane thing to say. I think like the idea that there shouldn't be federal disaster management is truly crazy, and it will actually cook red states. I don't know why. Like, I don't know what he's thinking when he says stuff like this. Like, what happens in New Orleans? You know what I mean? Like, I think he wants to privatize FEMA, thinking it's just Homer's symbol monkey in there. No, you don't have to be particularly brilliant to undermine what remains of the American government's competence. Okay? I'm not saying he's brilliant, and I'm not saying that he's doing this in like an incredibly smart way or anything like that. I mean, the machine is designed in a way that that austerity followed by privatization is always taking place, and he just gets to control the reins and market the process, and he's going to do that well, because as long as he can keep people paying attention, as long as he can keep people paying attention to whatever he wants them to pay attention to, like, you know, trans people or undocumented immigrants or whatever, that are supposedly responsible for all of the issues that you're facing in American society, he can advocate to basically undermine FEMA, something that conservatives have wanted for quite some time. And then eventually down the line, they can just, completely privatize it. FEMA is already largely privatized. Utilities, private insurance, etc. True.
Examples of it not working. And there's been some others, like in Louisiana, etc.
Do you think Trump actually thinks he's doing something good with his policies? I don't. Sure. He probably does, yeah. I think Republicans at the end of the day don't think that they're evil. I don't think anyone thinks that they're evil. You know what I mean?
So we're going to be doing something on FEMA that I think most people agree. I'd like to see the states take care of disasters. Let the state take care of the tornadoes and the hurricanes and all of the other things that happen. And I think you're going to find it a lot less expensive. You'll do it for less than half, and you're going to get a lot quicker response. So that seems to be the recommendation, but we'll be making that recommendation over the next couple of weeks. We're going to go to the site now, and we're going to figure out a plan for really demolition and cleaning, because not a lot's been done, and we're very disappointed in the Biden administration, but we're going to make up for lost time. And I said I'd do that, and this is about the earliest we could possibly be here. And we're honored to be here. This has been a great state. They're great people, and they've really been mishandled. But this group is going to be great, and we're going to get it taken care of. Any questions?
How will you respond?
Do you expect to ask Congress for additional aid for North Carolina and California?
It will be direct. In other words, the aid will go through us. So rather than going through FEMA, it will go through us. And I think maybe this is a good place to start. Because, and in all fairness to the governor, and in all fairness to everybody else, FEMA was not on the ball. And we're going to turn it all around. Yes.
A lot of Americans think that this is symbolic of what your campaign was all about. America first, putting your priorities to Americans, even going to California, where their policies might have been one of the biggest reasons why they've had these problems. But you're putting the American people first. Your thoughts on that?
This is Marjorie Taylor Greene's boyfriend, by the way. If you want to understand how much the situation has devolved, that is Marjorie Taylor Greene's boyfriend, who I believe works at One America News Network. It's so cool that right-wing reporters, even Democrats don't do this. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, sure. Liberal media lies. Liberal media lies all the time. Liberal media also omits key details that you can see with your own two eyes, like Biden's diminished brain capacity. But even liberal media doesn't go like, Mr. Biden, sir, it seems that you have an incredible stroke game. What do you have to say about that? Right? Like, this is the Republican and right-wing media in general is so crazy, because they just come up to Trump and they're like, Mr. God King Trump, sir, it seems you are the greatest president of all time, and everybody knows it. And the naysayers are actually just simply haters What do you have to say about that? Like, that's not a question, dude. I barely heard it over the gargling noises that you were, that you were making while you were spitting on it. It's crazy. It doesn't make like. Thank you for the journalism, Marjorie Taylor Greene's boyfriend.
We are. But thank you. I like that question. Boy, I want more
Well, dude, look at that. Yeah, he loves it.
questions like that. That's even a statement. Thank you very much. He's a good man, that guy. And he's also a very professional reporter, I have to say. Thank you very much. Yeah, we're putting America first. We're putting, in this case, North Carolina and California. We're going to do a good job in California. That is a disaster like, I don't know if we've ever seen anything like it, frankly. They say the biggest in the history of California. I think, has anything bigger than that happened in the whole country ever? It looks like, I don't want to say what it looks like, but you know what I'm going to say. It looks like something hit it, and we won't talk about what.
You're joking, right? The scripted questions, list of questions they won't answer, softballs about Biden's favorite ice cream to say it's not done by both sides of a joke. Dude, in a longer interview that Biden gave very limited interviews. And of course they control it. And so does Donald Trump. Every politician, unfortunately, has a tremendous amount of power when they're giving interviews, because what our media does now is access journalism. Okay. But as far as like the way that even liberal media operates, they don't simply, they'll ask softball questions. Yes. Like in between some other questions that they're asking that are within the confines of permissibility, right? Within whatever the PR people have decided is acceptable to ask. But the equivalent of this on the Biden camp would literally be like a CNN journalist coming in and being like, sir, like instead of omitting the fact that his brain capacity is diminished, which they are doing, which I think is a lie by omission, it would literally be asking a question to Biden as like Jake Tapper asked a question to Biden, and the question isn't a question at all. And it's simply, Mr. President, many people have decided that your brain is working the best. It's working better than anyone else's brain has ever worked. What do you have to say to that? Okay. Like at least there's the decency. It's not good, right? It's still unacceptable, but at least like liberal media has the decency not to genuflect this hard. They do access journalism, which is still ridiculous. But this level of glaze is crazy, dude. The difference is the right wing go out of their way to give him easy questions. Not even just easy questions. Sometimes they don't even ask questions at all. They just ride. It's crazy. Whereas at least with liberal media, there's still like a veneer of professionalism and like some kind of like aesthetic divergence or aesthetic independence rather from the press office and the press itself. It's the same principle behind like what I was saying, where like liberals choose still to do manufacturing consent. Both parties are invested in empire and the continuation of it. Okay. But liberals at least still choose to do manufactured consent, use like civil society organizations and NGOs to create reasonable ground for why they must invade a place, you know what I mean? Or why they must destabilize a certain country. Republicans are like, we're going to do that because they're apes and they're barbaric and they're primitive and we must bomb them into oblivion. Even Trump recognized that that wasn't a question and a statement. Exactly. Even Trump was like, great question. We need more questions like this. You're a very handsome young man. I love questions like this. It's my favorite type of question to answer, which is not a question at all and simply saying how incredible I am. You can make an argument that access journalists are worse because they appear legitimate, unlike this guy. To a certain degree, I understand what you're saying. But to the average American, I think that they just don't care. They think that that guy is also not just glazing Trump, but simply a professional journalist. I know what you're saying. I think you're saying that because you're surrounded by liberals. And access journalists only impact liberals who personally believe that they're actually engaging in like serious journalism. Whereas this guy liberals will look at it and go, oh, he's glazing Trump. But from the Republicans' perspective, they hear that guy and go, that's a real journalist. Republicans literally think that guy is a better journalist than, you know, any number of different like liberal journalists.
But it is a bad, bad situation. And I guess I'm going to meet with some government officials. But I mean, much more importantly, and in California, just to revert to it for a second, millions of gallons of water are waiting to be poured down through already the half pipes that are already built. I mean, they've been up for 40 years. And about 20 years ago, they turned off the water. And it's the water that comes from the Pacific Northwest. Some of it comes out of Canada, and it flows there, and it probably has flowed there for 1 million years. And they turned it off, and they routed out to the Pacific. And in the meantime, you don't have water in the hydrants. You don't have water in the sprinkler systems. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. And everyone's trying to figure out, why aren't they turning it back? They say it's the Delta smelt. It's a fish. But I find that hard to believe. But we'll figure it out. And without doing that, you're going to continue to have problems.
Mr. President, what are you prepared to do, sir, if OPEC doesn't respond to your call to cut oil prices?
Well, we want to see OPEC cut the price of oil, and that will automatically stop the tragedy that's taking place in Ukraine. It's a butchering tragedy for both sides, by the way. A tremendous number of Russian soldiers are dead. Tremendous number of Ukrainian soldiers, and a lot of people are dead from the bombing of the cities. But right now, it's just bullets whacking and hitting men, mostly men, almost in all cases men. And over 1 million men are killed, and they're losing thousands of people a week. It's crazy. It's a crazy war, and it never would have happened if I was president. Would never have happened. This is crazy that it happened, but we want to stop it. Now, one way to stop it quickly...
Mr. President, you said day one you'd be ending the war in Ukraine. It has now been 4 days. When will you be ending the war in Ukraine? We are waiting. I mean, we'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. I said this before. I just don't suspect Donald Trump taking like a super significant sidestep from American foreign policy on Ukraine. And I also don't even think he took a super serious sidestep from American foreign policy on Israel. I think the grand design is still in motion for the region. I just think that he understood that you have to pressure Israel to dial it back on its genocide in Gaza, at least for the time being, if you want to eventually focus on the West Bank operations.